Because just think about it now. Think about it. Think about all the people that you've ever met. And how many of them do you care about? Like, how many of them do you even think about on a day-to-day basis? Because I'm sure there's plenty of people that you've met who you no longer even think about. You might think about them like once a year at this point. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, bro. It's true though. We all like to think that we're the center of attention in everyone's life. Like, the whole world revolves around us. Everyone should care about everything going on in our lives, but we don't have to care about everything going on in everyone else's life. And we get to a point where we become so self absorbed that we think everyone else thinks about us so highly. Everyone else is so deeply involved into the minutia of our lives, but it's just not true. And we have to get over ourselves because actually there's a lot of ego in that. If you think your whole life should be the focus of someone else's attention, and I don't care who that person is, whether that's your casual friend or your spouse, then you have a lot of ego and you have a lot of pride. And you have to get over that if you want a better sense of understanding what it means to be human. I'm saying this because I felt for so long that people's perception of me was a top priority for them. Like for me, it is, yes, because like it's my life. But for them, it's not. For them, I'm just another person. It doesn't matter who the person is either. It could be your closest family member. At the end of the day, we're all individuals. We all have our own lives, our own souls. So we shouldn't be looking to other people and expecting them to somehow care about us in a way that only we can. I've been seeing this a lot in different settings in my life recently. For example, I was helping out family with a task, trying to be nice, trying to help them out. And then I had something really pressing to do for school, so I stopped doing that. And then I went to go handle that other thing. After I finished my urgent task, which is school, which is my responsibility, I then came back and I said, hey, I want to help you guys out. You know, I had to go. I'm back now. What can I do to help you guys out? And they said, "Oh, we're done now. You took too long. We don't really care why, but we don't need you anymore for this thing." So we moved on, okay? And it just was what it was. I tried to explain to them like, "Hey, I was doing this task for my school, my homework. It was really important, yada yada yada." And they just said, "We don't care." At the end of the day, people just care about what you've done, whether that's for them in a good way or what you've done to them in, let's say, let's call it a bad way, right? So if you are trying to get a task done, whether that's something as simple as doing a favor for someone or something you're doing maybe at work, like the people that you're helping, they just want you to help them. If they want to paint a room in a house, they want to make sure that you're able to help them reach their goal. Doesn't matter exactly how you do it. They're not going to sit there and be like, oh, make sure that you take a certain stroke at this particular angle and then take the next stroke at that particular angle and make sure that you inhale really deeply and then exhale really slowly. They're not going to care about all those little details. And that is really just a microcosm for your whole life. People don't care about your life in the way that you do, and you shouldn't expect them to. There's no reason for you to expect them to, actually. They just want to see that you either got the thing done for them or you didn't. You either helped them reach their goal or you didn't. Let's say you're at work and your company who maybe they wanted to expand their outreach. So they decided they wanted to, I don't know, like hire 10 new employees. And you went out and you decided to attract the right talent for this company. So you maybe post online, went out to people that you knew in town, and you said, hey, I know you're a good fit for this job. So how about you just come do an interview, see if your skills are a good match for this job. Do you think that the CEO of the company or whoever is trying to get this hiring done actually cares about how you got it done? Do you think that if they hire the best people for the job that they can find, they're going to care about how you found them? They're going to care about the person that came from your hometown, the person you met when you were out prospecting or something like that. They don't really care how you got it done. They just care that you got it done. You could be working in a company and maybe you did some great work that saved them from losing $1 million. At the end of the day, you can be giving a presentation going into all these technical details about how you did it. Let's say you wrote code that identified where the company was losing money. And then you decided to automate a process that would cut out procedures that were leading to some of this money loss. And you decided that maybe after that, you wanted to make sure that maybe some of the funds being spent on lunch or other random things weren't being spent on that anymore. So you wrote a script that said, anytime we're spending over a certain amount for a certain activity, if it's not a required activity, we're going to remove that from the budget. We're going to stop spending on that. Do you think that the head honchos of the company care about all that? Or do they just care about, hey, you saved us money, you made us look better, you made our company improve its standing? Because they only care about the result. It doesn't matter all those details that go into how you got there. Save that for someone who's more technical or tactical, someone who's closer to the ground, someone who actually cares about those things and is closer to your level. But at the end of the day, you can't expect people who are so detached from what that entails to actually care. Let's put this another way. Let's say that you're in a group of friends and for whatever reason, you have one friend who you're suddenly getting distant from and you're wondering like, hey, we used to hang out all the time. What's going on? Maybe you guys don't live in the same town anymore. So then you begin to wonder, okay, we used to be super close, but now we're not. So what's going on here? And you start to feel resentment toward that person for, oh, they didn't text me. They didn't reach out to me. They didn't really know that I was going through something that was really hurtful to me, to know that this person was out there living their life without thinking about me, laying in bed crying and wondering why nobody cares to reach out to me during my difficult time that I haven't told anyone about. If you haven't told anyone about it, how do you expect them to care? And even if you do tell them about it, how do you expect them to care in the same way that you care? I get it. We all go through difficult things. I'm pretty stressed out right now, to be honest. My life is very hectic right now. There's a lot of things that are happening, but I have to find a way to continue to live, continue to push through it. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to me. Nobody else can insert their soul into my body and live my experience. That's something only I can do. If you feel like people don't care as much as they should, I think you have to think about like, hey, they have their own life to live. What is it that maybe they are going through? Or maybe what is it that I'm going through that I haven't told them about? I think that's something really important to do, is to make sure that when you think about what's going on in every other person's life, it takes a lot of mental energy to be able to care and spread out your deepest emotions, your deepest abilities to care about things. It's difficult to spread that equally among all these different people. You kind of have to prioritize and figure out a way to maybe put more towards your spouse and maybe a bit less towards your friends and then a bit less towards your acquaintances. But you can't constantly be extending your full heart to every single person and caring so deeply and so strongly, almost having like a secondhand experience of living vicariously through them. You can't do that with every single person. And it's unfair to expect people to do that for you. It just doesn't make sense at the end of the day. And so I don't think we need to be as resentful towards people who maybe are not doing what we would expect them to do in terms of caring about our lives. Because just think about it now. Think about it. Think about all the people that you've ever met. And how many of them do you care about? Like, how many of them do you even think about on a day-to-day basis? Because I'm sure there's plenty of people that you've met who you no longer even think about. You might think about them like once a year at this point. That goes to show another thing. When we think about this idea of life and our eventual death, there's so many people who you don't talk to anymore that you might have met in the past. There's so many people who you maybe had a strong connection with, but now you no longer do. Or for whatever reason, you never had a strong connection, but you always just think about that person like, hey, that person left an impact on my life. That person, they really meant something to me at a certain point in time. And maybe you might want to reach out to that person. Now imagine you try to reach out to that person. You look up their contact information and you send them a message and they don't respond for a few weeks, then it's a few months, and then it's a year, and you're wondering, hey, why didn't this person respond? And then you find out that that person is no longer alive. How would you feel in that moment? How would you expect other people to feel in the moment of you not talking to them for a long time? And then suddenly you reach the end of your life. Do you expect them to care deeply? And even if you were talking to them a lot, do you really expect them to care deeply? There are some people who you probably would expect to care deeply, those who you were closest to, those who you interacted with and had like a really strong impact on, and vice versa. But even if you were to reach the end of your life, there's only so much caring you can do. And there's only so much caring someone else can do before the inevitable thing happens where you just have to move on with your life. Because you move on with your life. They move on with their life. It's not you moving on with their life. It's not them moving on with your life because every person has their own individual experience. Just because you might feel like people don't care, it doesn't mean there's any animosity from them towards you. It just means that everyone has their own unique individual experience and that our energy can only be used in a way that each of us can use uniquely toward ourselves.